Canadian identity. So we're setting context for tonight's meeting. We only want Caribbean Canadians in the room, and that is defined as people who are native to or descending from. That means whether they were born there or not. From Caribbean regions, territories, nations. That means not necessarily islands. Could be a country in South America, like Guyana or Suriname, including their variations by ancestry and ethnicity, because we don't all physically look the same or come from the same ancestral background. And currently reside within Canada and voluntarily self-identify as Caribbean Canadian. So in this space, we represent and serve the Caribbean Canadian community, being mindful in supporting this soul shared identity in our spaces. Note that labels such as Black, Brown, hate, political, religious, and or racially focused debates are not tolerated, because those things tend to divide. And our space is all about uniting our people. Can we go to the next slide, please? Fun fact, there are 42 Caribbean nations, territories. If you see your country here, type it in the Zoom chat. I'm gonna wait 20 seconds. Represent, type it in the Zoom chat. Where are you repping? You know, a lot of times we only hear about the quote unquote popular ones. Meanwhile, there's 42. So one of the things we like to do in our spaces is educate ourselves, not necessarily non-Caribbeans. First, we got to get clear as far as who we are and where we're coming from. So here's a little fun fact. There are 42 Caribbean regions, nations, and territories. Next slide, please, Oliver. Okay, there are 6 main ancestries in the Caribbean. Some might only know 1 or 2. There are actually these many, 6. So what I'm trying to illustrate to you here is we're an inclusive space. You could be representing one of those 42 countries. You could be representing 1 or more of these ancestries. You're included in this space. That's what we're talking about when we say Caribbean Canadian. Next slide, please. Okay, did you know another fun fact? There are 6 official languages in the Caribbean. Again, if you are speaking any of these languages, or your country, their main language is one of these languages, you are welcome in this space. It's an inclusive space. Okay, so we vary by nation, we vary by ancestry, we vary by language, just to name a few. So just illustrating that we want to make sure that everybody understands that this might be something different than what you're used to. You probably never heard this before, right? So again, trying to close in the gaps in our community, educate our community, and bring as many people to represent in our spaces. Anybody want to comment? Did you learn something new in those last 3 slides? I can't see anybody. I have to ask the Meetups team to just check for me.
I'll let you know when there's a comments. There's no comments. Yeah, I'll let you know.
Thank you. So I want to hear from somebody now. In those last 3 slides there, did you learn something new? Did you know those 42 countries? Did one of those countries jump out? Did you know the 6 official languages? Anything new that jumped out there? Yes, thank you, Karina. How large the Caribbean is, exactly. Because we only hear about the 1 or 2, right? The popular ones, the loudest ones. 6 official languages, thank you, Shanae. Not just English. We might have known Spanish, but maybe not the other ones, right? That they're actually official languages in the Caribbean. So good, that was my mission. My mission was to at least share some of the information that I've learned along the way. Papiamento, yes, Danielle, that's one of the official languages. All right, thank you. We'll move along. Let's go to the next slide, please. Okay, this is a did you know. We started putting this on social media, again, to hopefully get the education out into our community. And this is taken from our January 17th workshop. Did you know that the Caribbean identity is a term that explains artistic, musical, literary, culinary, political, and social elements that are representative of the Caribbean people all over the world? Caribbean is the term most politically correct social scientists and historians would use to denote the 7,000 odd islands that lie in the Caribbean Sea area, including some North and South American mainland countries, which have Caribbean coastlines. Okay, I want to point out here that they make no mention of what you physically look like or what language you speak. It's way broader. The term Caribbean Canadian is way broader than just how you look and the language that you speak or what country you come from. Did everybody know there was 7,000 odd islands that lie in the Caribbean Sea area? Who didn't know that? Maybe put up your hand or click an emoji and then let me know, Oliver. Who didn't know? Everybody knew, Oliver?
I have a couple of people who just put up their hands. Naila and Beverly, and is that Karina also said that they didn't know.
Oh, yeah.
David, Sharon.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go. Amanda.
Thank you.
Nyla. I think.
Keep in mind that the 7,000 odd islands are not all inhabited. Most of them are not inhabited, but yes, there are 7,000 odd islands. So I think who was it? Karina said that it's much bigger than she knew, right? So even geographically, it's much bigger than we knew. Next slide, please.
Naila,
thank you for your feedback.
Yeah, Naila said that she didn't know that Caribbean, Suriname was part of the Caribbean.
Oh yeah, see? Right, there you go. Okay, another did you know? Again, this is from our January 17, which is why I'm just whipping through, because you would have, if you watched the video, then you would have already, you would have seen that we covered it in like more thoroughly. But just to recap, did you know that cultural identity is an important contributor to people's well-being? Identifying with a particular culture gives people feelings of belonging and security. It also provides people with access to social networks, which provides support and shared values and aspirations. These can help break down barriers and build a sense of trust between people, a phenomenon sometimes referred to as social capital. Next slide, please. This was a big one when we had our workshop in January. Most of the participants didn't know this. So I want to hear from you. Did you know this? In the 18th and 19th century, European and American writers proposed geographically based scientific differences among the races. However, these and other race theories have been dismissed scientifically. Did you know that race was dismissed scientifically? Who did not know that? You can just put up your hand or an emoji, and then Mark or Oliver can let me know. Nyla said she knew. Okay, I just saw that in the chat. Thank you. So race was dismissed by science. And the reason why it still exists is because socially people are allowing it to exist. But it was dismissed scientifically. It has no scientific backing. And most of us, I think, here hopefully believe in science. Hopefully. So yeah, so the good news is because it's not scientific and it's only social, it means that we can change it. If it was scientific, then it would be more fact, right? But if it's something that people are just keeping it going, then we can choose to stop it. We can stop it from keeping on. Next slide, please. Did anybody else, sorry, Mark, did anybody else put up their hand that they did not know that?
No, I didn't see any
Yeah, I didn't
hands.
see anyone
Maybe
else.
some went up, but I didn't see. Mark, did you see any hands?
No.
Okay. All right, we're coming up to the participant intro soon, just to give you a heads up. Right now, I'm just laying the groundwork for the Caribbean Canadian identity, right? So I'm finishing up that first part of the agenda, first item on the agenda. So here is very simply put, based on science, it is simply put that identity is freeing and labeling is oppressing. Simply put, culture unites, whereas race divides. Those are scientifically proven facts. Anybody have any questions or comments before we go to the participant intros? You can put that one up, Oliver. And we'll just pause here to see if anybody has any questions or comments. Oh, yes. So in other words, oh, yeah, thank you. In other words, there's no place for race in our space. Because we go with science. We err on the side of science in these organizations. Okay. Any questions or comments up to this point with regards to the Caribbean Canadian identity? Nothing yet? Thank you, Beverly. Okay, now I can't see anybody. I'm going to ask maybe Amanda or Beverly or Mark to call each person in order as you see them on your screen, and you can start with yourself. You're answering number one, what is your name? Number two, which Caribbean countries do you represent? And 3 or 4, depending on your status here. If you're a current member, you're answering number 3. If you're a potential member, you're answering number 4. Now, I just want to highlight before we get to the intros, I highlighted the word represent in green. Okay, so the reason why I highlight is because I don't want people to think that you have to be born in the Caribbean to represent the Caribbean. I don't want you to think that you have to know everything about your country to represent your country. That's not what this space is about. We're asking, where do you represent? Where is your family descending from? So when you're responding, if I could ask you to stay away from, I am from here, but my parents are from here. I'd rather you just say, I represent the island, the country, the nation of da da da. We don't need to hear, we don't need you to separate yourself from the country in your words, because words here matter and they have meaning. So just be mindful of how you respond to that question. The question is, which Caribbean countries do you represent? I represent Trinidad and Tobago. All right. Okay, Mark, you're up first.
Hi, my name's Mark Kerr. I represent Jamaica. And why did I join the movement? I'm actually a director on the Caribbean Canadian Chamber of Commerce, and also a part of the Caribbean Canadian Kids Club. So we have some children in that group. Why did I join the movement? It's just that this group is, family oriented, and it helps to support, people in the Caribbean that are here in Canada, and just kind of brings us together. So just part of something that I like the word movement, but it's a movement to get, to uplift our people from the Caribbean and to bring us all together. So that's part of the reason why I've joined. Beverly, you want to go next?
Sure. So my name is Beverly and I represent St. Lucia. Why did I join the movement? Like Mark, I'm actually I'm the vice president for CWS, CCKC, and C5. So, I mean, at the beginning, I joined CWS, and that was just, I wanted something where there was like-minded people and we could have discussions and, we could have disagreements, but quiet disagreements, if anything, not big, loud ones. So primarily, that's my reason for joining. I'm going to go to Oliver.
Sure. So my name is Oliver Levy. director also at Caribbean Canadian Chamber of Commerce and Community, and also a director at Caribbean Canadian Parents United. For me, I'm representing Jamaica. And why did I join this movement? For me, it was a no-brainer. I love being in the community. For me, I find myself in leadership position all the time, wherever I'm in the community or anything like that. So when I see a movement like this to uplift our people and unite our people, it was just a no-brainer for me. So that's why I'm here. I'm gonna pass it over to Ingrid B.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ingrid. I represent Guyana. And why did I join this movement? I feel that it gives me a sense of community, and it allows me to be my authentic self while I'm here. I'm a member of the Caribbean Women's Society and the Caribbean Canadian Parents United. I can't see, but I'm going to go blind and say Donnell.
Hi, my name is Donnell. The country that I represent is Guyana. I joined the Caribbean Women's Society because I wanted the community. I had the Caribbean Club at school, and then when I graduated, I found you all, and I wanted to be involved and connected again.
Thank you, Donnell.
I'm supposed to.
I can pass it. And I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Is it Naila? Naila?
It's Naila.
Naila.
Naila, okay.
The I is an E.
I like it. Okay, sorry about that.
Thank you. Yes. I'm Naila Felix. I represent Trinidad and Tobago. Honestly, like I came today because I wanted to see what this group was about. I have been, someone sent me a request a long time ago, and I always see activities or events pop up for this group, and I'm like, okay, what is this group about? So when I saw the event again, I said, well, you know, the open house, I said, this will be a good time to find out what this group is all about. All right, so aside from that, that's what it is.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Ingrid O, are you available? Okay, we'll circle back to Ingrid. Amanda?
Hello.
Oh, hey.
Hi, how are you? Sorry, I had to unmute myself.
No worries.
I'm Ingrid O, and I am representing Barbados and Guyana. I joined this group to basically find out more about my culture. I was born here in Canada, but I am Caribbean descent. And to find out more about my country and to help people that are coming to the country or give my views of growing up here to people that might have grown up in the Caribbean and become Canadian citizens.
Thank you. Amanda?
Hello, my name is Amanda, and I'm representing Guyana. I joined CWS this time last year. It's been officially or almost a year that I've been with them. I started off as a member and I moved into a board member this year, which is really great. I initially joined to really educate myself on just the little things that I miss that I can't obtain in school, and just to also understand how I could help in the Caribbean, or even just not even in the Caribbean, but here at home locally. The food drive was one way that we really did that, and it was a lot of fun. So yeah.
Awesome, thank you. David?
Hello, pleased to be here this evening. I represent Trinidad and Jamaica. I've been in Canada for a long, long time, so I became a member as soon as I heard about the organization in order to take part in the C5 community. And yeah, pleased to be here and hope to stick around and help as much as I can. Thanks.
Thank you, David. Mr. Ken, long time we haven't seen you. Oh, I think you guys are on mute. You came off mute and you're back on.
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah, that's good. I am from Jamaica, a retired teacher. One of the reasons why I want to be involved with the group is that at one stage in the Caribbean, there was a Federation of the West Indies, and I look forward to that because there were 2 ships that were given to the Caribbean by Canada, Federal Maple and the Federal Palm, and my idea was that I would be able to move from country to country on these ships. That didn't materialize because the Federation of the West Indies was squashed. And so I look on this opportunity of learning more about the various islands in the Caribbean.
Thank you very much.
Sharon?
Yep. Is Sharon with you?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah. Hi, I am Sharon Winter Bowen, and I'm representing Jamaica. And the reason why I want to join this group because I've learned a lot more about the Caribbean than I knew, and I want to learn more.
Okay, thank you very much. Karina? And I hope I'm pronouncing it right as well.
Hi, can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
My name is Karina. I represent Trinidad and Tobago. I don't see the questions anymore. Not sure why. But I'm actually not really sure what the group is about. I was actually sent an invite from a friend of mine. And one of the things I would like to do is get more involved in the community and be a part of something, I guess, bigger than I can do. I've seen a lot of the Caribbean, and I don't know if this is something that this group would be participating in. But I would like to find out more and obviously be a part of the community here in Canada.
That's awesome. Hopefully you get the information you need today, and if not, ask questions and we'll try to fill you in. Thank you very much. Lisa?
So hi, my name is Lisa. I represent the island of Barbados. I'm a director for Caribbean Canadian Parents United and a member of Caribbean Women's Society. I joined this movement to be around like-minded people and to learn more about my Caribbean culture and Caribbean heritage, and to also pass along that knowledge to my kids.
Thank you, Lisa. Sinead, where are you?
Hello, I'm Shanae. How y'all doing? Hi, Nyla. Hey, boo. So my name is Shanae Steele, and I represent the country of Jamaica. Why I joined? I'm actually like Amanda right now, where it's almost a year since I first joined this group. The reason why I joined the group was to gain knowledge, to learn more from elders, and also help to like bridge the gap between the younger generation, the older generation. And it's like therapy to me because I miss home and I like being around Caribbean people. So I thought it would be a great group to join. The atmosphere is amazing. That's why I like it. Yeah, I think that's it.
All right, thank you very much. N. Francis.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Nicole Francis. I am representing Jamaica. And why am I interested in joining this movement? It's first, Oliver Levy and I have been friends for many years, and he's always been a positive individual. And anything you see Oliver get behind, there has to be some girth behind it. And as I listened to him and Lisa speaking, it was something that I thought, hey, I want to come and find out what it's all about, because I'm very much pro the Caribbean community. I'm very much pro supporting our community and representing us. And there's so much more to learn in order to be able to represent the Caribbean culture or community with increased knowledge.
Well said. Thank you very much and welcome. Nadia.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Nadia. I'm representing Barbados, and I am a member of all three organizations. I joined because it felt really good to be around Caribbean people who are positive and upbeat and interested in learning and sharing knowledge and still laid back, people who are really looking forward to sharing their knowledge with the generations to come throughout the Caribbean diaspora. And that's why I wanted to be here and to have my daughter involved as well.
Thank you very much. A couple more, Chelsea.
Hi, everyone. My name is Chelsea, and I am a board member for CWS as well as C5. Why I joined the organization was after leaving university, I was feeling a gap in my connection to the Caribbean Canadian community. And I found Caribbean Women's Society and was able to kind of fill that void for me. And it was a way for me to meet and connect with like-minded people. So been happy thus far with coming up on 2 years of being a part of Caribbean Women's Society, and excited to hear from everyone else.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I think we have down to the last. I think it's Danielle. Save the best for the last.
Good night, everyone. Danielle. I am representing the island of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the islands of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Reason why I joined this movement, one, I as well wanted to feel more connected to my Caribbean culture, and found this group of like-minded men and women who are about the same things. And it's been about 5 years since I joined. I'm now a director on Caribbean Canadian Parents United, and wanting to spread that Caribbean Canadian culture, not only for my daughter, but for all of our future generations to come.
Thank you, Danielle. Did I miss anyone? All right, I think it's back to you, Camille.
Thanks, Mark. Great intros. And thank you for those who really went outside their comfort zone and stuck with just saying where you represent, because I know that's a challenge in and of itself, just to say, just without the extra, just saying where you represent. For those who have been with us a little while, you might have noticed that I changed the question. Like now it's saying movement, as opposed to why did you join the membership? And that was intentional, because this is not, being with us is not like joining Good Life Fitness. It's not just to improve your life. When you join with us, you actually impact other people's lives. All right. And the more people we get coming into this movement, the more lives you can change, the bigger impact we'll have in the community. So that it's very intentional why we're using the term movement. Now, for those of you who are joining for the first time tonight, you heard a lot of acronyms, and then you heard, don't worry, we'll talk more about that later on as we continue. All right, so thank you for the intros. Nice to meet all of you. and nice to see some returning faces. Let's go to the next slide, please. So we're going to talk about what exactly is a social movement, because that's what we're doing for our community. We're starting a change in our community. Movement means change. That's what it means, right? So in bullet points here, a social movement is a collective behavior. It's organized. There are common basic ideas, and I heard some common overlapping reasons tonight why you're here. It's kind of the similar thing. You want to connect with your culture, you want to help others, you know, so we do have some common basic ideas, and that's how I know you're in the right place. You know, we have the right people on the call tonight. Solidarity, conflict. If there's no conflict, then there's no change. All right. If there was no conflict, then there'd be no need for a movement. And then finally is duration over time. That's very obviously point form, very high level. That's the moving parts of a social movement. Social movements may be defined as informal networks based on shared beliefs and solidarity, which mobilizes about conflictual issues, trough the frequent use of various forms of protest. Next slide, please. Now, again, this is knowledge sharing here, because I don't know how many have ever been involved in a social movement before. So again, this is our space where we educate ourselves as well, educate our community. These are the 4 different types of social movements. The purple is alternative, then there's redemptive, there's reformative, and there's revolutionary. Just who's feeling brave enough to just take a stab and guess what type of movement we're starting here in our community? On the left side there, sorry, go ahead. Who was that? Naila? Naila.
Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, is it reformative?
Oh, and Karina is guessing that too, and so is Danielle. Okay, so reformative means the change is limited, but everybody takes part in this limited change. And when they say everyone, they mean everyone in society. So it wouldn't be reformative, because we're specifically talking about people of Caribbean descent living in Canada. So it'll be specific individuals. I'll give you the hint. Specific individuals. So it's either purple or yellow.
Purple. It's alternative social movements.
Was that Naila? Anybody else
Yeah.
want to guess? Okay, Naila's saying alternative. Anybody else?
I would say reformative.
No, it's got to be it's either alternative or redemptive.
Oh.
Nadia is saying redemptive.
Redemptive, yeah.
And
I can't see it because
redemptive. No, Nadia said alternative. Sorry.
Yeah, because
Who said redemptive? Anybody?
Danielle.
Okay, so Danielle and Karina, they're correct. It's redemptive. Redemptive movements are meaning seeking, and they're focused on a specific segment of the population, and their goal is to provoke inner change in individuals. That's where we're at. It's in a redemptive movement. Specific individuals making a drastic change. And we'll talk about what those drastic changes are as we proceed. Next slide, please. Okay, can I have a volunteer to read this quote by Stephen Biko or Biko?
I'll volunteer.
Thank you, Danielle.
The power of a movement lies in the fact that it can indeed change the habits of people. This change is not the result of force, but of dedication, of moral persuasion.
Thank you. Next slide, please. Okay, so now we're getting into how how we're a movement. The Caribbean Canadian community is suffering an identity crisis. In order to have a movement, you have to have a crisis. The crisis is we're suffering an identity crisis. True or false? Anybody? And I'll ask the Meetups team to just watch to see who's responding.
True. That's the truth.
Is that Naila?
Yeah.
Okay, yes. Please explain. Why are you saying that? How so?
Yeah, so from listening to the video that you sent, the YouTube video,
yes,
I would say yes. In the sense that, you know, we divide ourselves amongst ourselves through race. And it's something that I have experienced growing up, and I still experience it today. So yeah, so I would say yes.
Yes.
An identity crisis.
Thank you, Naila. Anybody else want to add to what Naila's saying? How do we know that our community is suffering an identity crisis? And it could be from a social perspective, an economic perspective, a political perspective, a cultural perspective. How do we have an identity crisis in our community? So what Naila just touched on is like the social, right? Where race comes in and race divides us. That's one of the social aspects of a crisis. Yeah. What about, how is that impacting us economically? This identity crisis, or how is it impacting us politically or culturally? Naila, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm just gonna say economically, when we divide ourselves economically, it depends on, and I could be wrong about this, it depends on the jobs that we have. So, you know, if you're a teacher, doctor, lawyer, you look down on people who may not have those jobs, not knowing the reason behind that. Right, so that's one way. That's another way.
Yes,
we divide ourselves. Right?
Thank you, Naila. Anybody else? Ingrid B.
I think when it comes to the economic, it could also be about us not supporting each other financially, whether it's, you know, maybe we have a store or something. So I think of it in that sense in terms of the economic.
Yes, thank you. Anyone else want to add?
I would say, and I'll target myself, just the to stay redemptive, as I've just learned that term, but I'm going to stay within a redemptive kind of outlook. I think we, as a place with 40 countries, when we're abroad, meaning when we're in Canada, I think we're not unified in knowledge or education of the other 39 or 41 countries of the Caribbean. So that education can result in a lack of partnership that also leads to social and economical downfall. To take Europe as an example, just the unification makes them known, but if we're staying redemptive, it would big up the actual individual to know he's got a lot of foundation, not just 1 or 2 countries, but maybe 40 countries as backbone. So it brings you up spiritually. Thanks.
That's a good point, David. Thank you. Anybody disagree? Do you think we're not, like, anybody have an opposite view? We don't have an identity crisis. Shanae, I saw your face.
I kind of want to hear the opposite side. That's why I'm like, eyebrows raised. I'm like, I want.
Oh yeah, listen, no judgment here. This is a safe space. You don't have to go with everybody else.
I'm definitely curious to hear another side.
Yeah.
There's not just one side to any situation.
No, exactly. We welcome all the different perspectives. True or false, is our community suffering from an identity crisis? Karina?
I just wanted to say, I'm not really sure what exactly you mean by having an identity crisis, but I do see that maybe individual Caribbean island people, let's say, for instance, Trinidad and Tobago, as a group might have, might have their community, that they can fall back on, or I guess collaborate with. But as a whole, the Caribbean together doesn't have that sort of bigger umbrella, and that would be a helpful thing going forward in terms of helping the whole region, like CARICOM, for instance. I'm not sure if that's the correct
Okay.
format you're heading towards.
Yeah, so right now we're talking specifically those who live in Canada, like the Caribbeans who live in Canada.
Well, that's
Is that
what I
you're
mean.
saying?
Like,
Yes.
that's what I mean. Like let's say, for instance, CARICOM as a region.
Yeah, exactly.
Transport that into, say, Canada. So everybody from those regions working together could be a more powerful voice.
I see.
Than,
yes.
Individual countries.
Exactly. Yeah. Anybody?
Nicole,
thank you, Karina. Go ahead, Oliver.
Nicole had her hand. Nicole, you wanted to say something?
Yes, I do believe that that the Caribbean Canadian community is in a crisis. In my work with children, there are certain activities that we do, and when we ask them to talk about what they've either done or where they've been or just their family, I tend to find that the younger parents that may be second and third generation, they're not able to give their children enough. So knowing that a student is coming from a Caribbean background, and when I look at what they speak about more is more Canadian. The representation of their Caribbean heritage is not in either their writings, it's not in their drawings, the customs or their celebrations. So just from an educational standpoint, I'm fine, just my opinion, that I do agree that there is an identity crisis, and it's starting with our younger ones because we're having a water down of our culture. Or different cultures. I'm trying to get the lingo.
Wow, I was waiting for that.
I just want to, Ms. Francis, I just want to, tag along on what you said there. I totally agree with what you're saying. I think, even from back home, before we come here, I think we have this idea that Canadian culture is so much better than our own. And when we come here, we try to fit in so much. And I have a question that I wrote here, what is Canadian culture? I don't know what Canadian culture is. I don't see them having a culture. I know I come here with my values and my beliefs, my strong ethics, my carnival, the things that we celebrate in Christmas. And those are the things that I hold so dear to me because that's what I know. And it's something that's grounded and it's rooted. And I don't know why it is we feel like, eating pizza and hanging out at the mall is a culture. And that is, it's not. And that's what I see. And I don't know why it's so glorified. Like, we're not proud of what we have to celebrate. And then everybody else comes in and they're celebrating it. And we're like on the outskirts looking on, right? When everybody else
and getting mad too.
Yeah, while everybody else is enjoying what we put together. So, I see it myself. I work in the schools. I see it with my own two eyes. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I have to teach my kids more. Like I have to, do things with them so that they know, like, this is where you come from. This is your culture. This is your roots, so.
Thank you, Naila. We're going to take one more, Danielle, and then we're going to move on because it's almost time for break. Loving the feedback. Thank you. Keep it coming. Go ahead, Danielle.
Yeah, I often, as a Canadian-born Caribbean, person, I often would ask myself that question, like, what is Canadian culture versus my Caribbean culture? I often find it a blend of both. I look at Canadian culture as a blend of all the different cultures that come here and a representation of each of them, as you know, we're able to enjoy each other's different cultures, and in that is Canadian culture, and we're also able to identify as individuals our own culture and make that up as the Canadian culture. That's how I've always seen it, but that allows me now then too to have that in my home and to share that with others, to say, well, these are the things that I would celebrate and promote as a Vincentian, but also being able to do that freely is what also makes me a Canadian. So that's how I've always kind of looked at it.
Okay, thank you, Danielle. I see Karina's hand up, but we have to continue for now, and there'll be more, obviously, a lot more engaging questions that I want Karina's feedback on. But just for the purposes of keeping on and staying on schedule, we'll move on for now. So it seems as though there's a consensus here that there is an identity crisis in the Caribbean Canadian community. I haven't heard anything opposite. So just to let you know, that's where we're coming from with these organizations. We recognize that there's a crisis and we are tackling it. Not just recognizing it and then complaining about it at the dinner table, and decades are going by and the new generation of children are coming up and they're even more diluted than the previous generation. I'm talking about, these are people who actually hands-on want to hone back in and eradicate this crisis. And that's who we're looking for to join this organization, people who want to be a part of that change, the movement. If I could ask you to go to the next slide, please, Oliver. We're going to whip through these a little bit here because it's coming up to break. So again, how we're tackling this crisis, the identity crisis, is by forging a collective perspective, direction, and working unity. Those are our 3 action steps. Forging a collective perspective, that in itself is huge. Having a direction as a community here in Canada. One direction, not everybody taking their own direction. And then a working unity, not just unity in words, because we like to say that, oh, we're united and we should be more united. A working unity where you put your words into action. Next slide, please. Okay, we're barreling through. I need a volunteer, very briefly summarizing what is the self-fulfilling prophecy. We talked about this in the recording on Jan 17. Anybody feel comfortable, confident enough to explain what is the self-fulfilling prophecy, otherwise known as the Pygmalion effect by Robert Merton? Oliver, go for it.
So it starts with your beliefs, and then what your beliefs influence your expectations. So once you have that expectation, then that expectation now trickles down into your behavior. And now your behavior over time causes that result.
Yes, thank you.
Everything comes from what you believe, then your expectation, then it causes a behavior, and that behavior goes straight into your result.
Correct. So that is one of the philosophies that we adopt here in this organization. Understanding that we have control over our outcome. We're not victims. We don't have to take what people are dishing out. We actually have control. It's the same idea behind vision boards. Anybody do vision boards? Put an emoji up if you do it, or your hand up. It's the same philosophy behind vision boards, or if you're into sports and sports visualization, or what you put out is what you attract, the law of attraction. It's the same thing. It all starts with what you believe, right? So that is the philosophy here, is that we are autonomous, we're responsible, we're accountable, we have control over what we believe, not just individually, but as a collective community. We have control over what we believe. And we can change those beliefs if they don't suit us. We're not bound by those beliefs. The beliefs of 100 years ago are not fitting in 2021, and we don't have to continue if it doesn't serve us. Next slide, please. Well, let's talk about beliefs then. What do we believe here? Here, those squares at the bottom, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, those are the beliefs that we hold in this movement. Those are our beliefs here. Those are not beliefs that we've had for generations in the Caribbean. These are actually new, revamped beliefs. Communicating, talking. That is not a Caribbean thing from 100 years ago. That is modern day, right? Communicating and forgiveness and not holding on to resentment and healing and growth mindset and coming up with solutions rather than just complaining and fixed mindset, and friendship and inclusion, meaning all the 42 countries, all the ethnicities, they're all invited here. We want them here. So these are things that we're believing in 2021 moving forward. This will better serve us, not just us, but future generations. I highlighted Caribbean Canadian identity in green because that is huge. That's where we started. That we first had to get clear as far as who are we. If we don't know who we are, I think somebody said it earlier. If we don't know who we are, we can't even move forward with anything yet. Because if we don't believe in who we are, it's going to impact, like Oliver said, it's going to impact how we engage in the world and how the world receives us and what we get back from the world. So we are mirroring Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Anybody know about Maslow's hierarchy of needs that can sum it up in 2 minutes? Any volunteers? Maslow's hierarchy of needs? I'm going to call on Mr. Oliver Levy.
I thought Mark was ready to go.
Oh, did he unmute? I must have missed it.
Yeah, you did.
Oh, sorry.
And I'll just make it quick. And
Sorry, Mark, go ahead.
I mean, yeah, this is not scientific, but just, you know, there's a basic level of needs that every human has. And once those needs are satisfied, and only when those needs are satisfied, can you start to move up that pyramid to satisfy other needs. So things like physiological, food, water, warmth, and rest, and safety and security. If you don't have those, then you're unable to function and to be able to move up to the next level, which is looking for the psychological needs of belonging, love, and self-esteem. And once you have, you know, you can actually fulfill those needs as well. You can move up again to the next level, which is self-fulfillment and be self-actualized. So just hopefully that's a short.
Thank you, Mark. Yeah, these are basic human rights, eh? That pyramid there that Mark just went over from purple, green, yellow, on the top right corner, purple, green, yellow, blue, pink. Those are human rights. And they're actually echoed in the UN. The UN has an agreement, I forgot what it's called now. Actually, it's in this link here, Oliver, that maybe you can, I'll copy and paste it into the Zoom chat so people can read it on their own time. But this link showing here at the top left corner gives you some information about the UN and how they have mirrored human rights, their Human Rights Act, which is a global act that all the countries pull from when they're coming up with their Human Rights Act. They are mirroring Maslow's hierarchy, that every human being has the right to basic food, water, shelter, that everybody has the right to security and safety. Everybody has the right to feel belongingness and love. Everyone has the right to feel esteem and get to the point where they know self-actualize. Those are human rights. And anybody or anything blocking you from acquiring those things is an infringement, it's a violation of your human rights, whether they know it or not. Parents who don't allow their children to learn about their culture. They would rather say you're a label. They'd rather say something else, as opposed to you're from St. Lucia, and here's what you need to know about St. Lucia. You're actually infringing on the child's human rights, even though the parent doesn't know that. Every parent wants the best for their child. But to prevent them unintentionally from getting to know who they really are is a violation of their human rights. So where we start here with this movement, we're starting at belongingness. That's where we start. Like Mark said, if you're still worried about safety and shelter, you're not ready to be a part of this movement. You can't think about anything if you don't know where your next meal is coming from. And it's not right to ask anybody for more than, they have to satisfy their basic needs. We're looking for people to come in and help with this movement who are at the point now where they're looking for belongingness. And that's what I heard across the board when we did the participant intros. In one way, shape, or form, I heard everybody say something along those lines, getting to know about their culture, connecting with the community, family atmosphere, and so on. So that's where we're starting here. And our mandate is to improve quality of life for the Caribbean Canadian community. That's what CCC stands for. Our mission is to connect and enable Caribbean Canadians. That's our mission, to connect and enable, just like what we're doing tonight. We're connecting and enabling Caribbean Canadians just by having this discussion. A discussion that we're not accustomed having in our community. We're already doing it. We're fulfilling our mission just by having this conversation tonight. Okay, so that, again, just giving you the context, the basis for how this movement started and what our intentions are moving forward. Next slide, please. So here's what we're doing. And to sum it up, we're reclaiming and reinventing the Caribbean Canadian identity. First of all, we never really had a Caribbean Canadian identity here. I think Danielle I think Naila said she didn't know, because there is no Canadian culture. She's right? And then Danielle tried to explain, well, yes, it's a mesh between, but that's just Danielle. If you ask any other Caribbean person, you're not going to get the same answer as Danielle, because we don't have a collective perspective. That we haven't been taught that. The kids are not being taught that. That's just a one-off. You got lucky with Danielle on the call tonight that she was able to explain it, right? But we got to get clear who we are, people. And it's got to be inclusive. It has to include everybody, not just people that look like me or look like you. Even the ones who don't look like us have to be included. Even the ones who don't speak English, they might speak Spanish. Maybe they're from the Dominican Republic or they're from Cuba. We have to look for ways to close in the gaps in our own community. Next slide, please. So again, it comes back to, this is how we're reinventing. We came up with a definition. This definition did not exist prior to these organizations. The definition of Caribbean Canadian came from these organizations. There was none. And if you look it up, you still won't find it. You'll only see our stuff on Google. You won't find any other definition. There's nothing in Britannica. No encyclopedia, Oliver. There's no definition for Caribbean Canadian. Caribbean, yes. Canadian, yes, but not Caribbean Canadian. Whose responsibility is that to define who we are? Isn't it our responsibility? What have we been waiting for? Somebody to define it for us? Because they have been. And we're not happy with how they define us. We're not happy with that. But guess what? We have control. We have autonomy over how we choose to identify in the way that best serves us, and not just us, but future generations. Next slide, please. So again, what we're trying to do here, our focus here is to foster a collective sense of positive self-esteem, community, and belonging. That's what we do in our spaces. We look for ways to foster collective sense of positive self-esteem, community, and belonging. Are those three things missing in our community right now? Is there a need to foster a collective sense of positive self-esteem, community, and belonging? Or do we already have it? Anybody? Any volunteers? Who here agrees that it's missing? Show of hands.
Nobody else, only me.
Naila, David, Ingrid B, thank you. Danielle, Chelsea, thank you. Okay, okay. Whew. I got nervous there for a bit. Thank you. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is how we're fostering that collective self-esteem, community, and sense of belonging. One, our vision is a thriving Caribbean Canadian community. And two is we're coming up with a new positive self-talk, a collective self-talk. Our self-talk is also called our mantra. And the mantra is we are here, accomplished, and united. That's our self-talk. That's what we want to tell our kids too. Can we break down, because that's huge. If we can just believe that we are here, accomplished and united. If we believe that, and if you believe in the self-fulfilling prophecy that what you believe impacts your experience in the world. If you believe that, and if we all believe it collectively, that will change the whole trajectory. You'll see a major sweeping change in our community if we started to believe that. We are here, meaning we have an identity. That we don't have to be silent. We don't have to take what people are dishing out. We're here, we're responsible, we have an identity, we have a voice, we have a perspective, we have a culture. We are here. We are accomplished. Accomplished doesn't just mean, that you have your PhD or you have a six-figure salary. Accomplished means that it could be, anybody want to take a stab at what accomplished could mean outside of job related or school related or materialistic? Anybody want to take a stab at what accomplished means?
Go ahead.
I think accomplished could mean that you can hold your own, and if something comes up, you can stand up and say if it's right or wrong. It doesn't matter what it is that you.
Thank you, Sharon. Yes. Accomplished. We're capable. We're in control. We got it together. We're united. That's another big one, right? That not just united in words, but in action, in deeds. We are here, accomplished and united. I am here, accomplished and united. Start there. Do you believe you are here, accomplished and united? From there, then what you put out, other people will pick up.
Ingrid has a message saying,
yeah.
You know who you are and where you are going.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Ingrid. Next slide, please. Okay, can I have a volunteer to read this image here on the screen? One row at a time.
I'll read the first one. If you give someone a fish, they eat for a day.
Thank you. Next.
I'll read the next. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Ken, go ahead.
Yeah,
if you teach someone to fish, they can feed themselves until the water is contaminated or the shoreline is seized for development.
Thank you, Ken. And then Beverly.
If you support a social movement, then whatever the challenge, they can organize with their peers and stand up for their interests.
That's what Sharon just said a couple minutes ago. So you're a part, if you choose to become a part of this movement, you're a part of something huge. And if you're already a part of it and you didn't know before, now you know. you're a part of something very, very huge. It's a shift. It's a shift that we all want. We've wanted it for decades, but nobody's really come with a plan, a solid plan, a practical, easy plan that people can follow. We'll talk about that plan later on. Next slide, I think, is the break, if I'm not mistaken, Oliver. Is it? Yes, thank you. Let's pause right there and we'll take a 5-minute break so you can marinate, get a refreshment, bathroom break, and we'll see you back in 5 minutes because we have a lot to cover. See you in a bit.
Did you get everything set up back, Camille?
Yeah, we're back.
Okay, good.
We gotta, I'm gonna get her back on the other network.
Yeah.
See, here's what some of our resolvers have done to date, because we have you already met a few resolvers already in this bunch. The board members are resolvers. We started this thing in Canada, Caribbean Heritage Month. Started in October 2018. Prior to October 2018, we never had a Caribbean Heritage Month in Canada. This is how so the mantra, remember the mantra is we are here, accomplished and united. We need our government to know that. And how do you do that? They talk in terms of bills and legislation and policies, etc. When you have a movement, you have to have government participation. Okay, so that was established because we need, up to this point, our story hasn't been told. Black History Month is not Caribbean Heritage Month. Anybody want to expand on that? What do I mean by that? Black History Month is not Caribbean Heritage Month. They're not the same thing.
Yeah. Is it because it doesn't talk about our Caribbean culture?
Correct. Simply put. And plus, it only focuses on one particular race. And we've already established that race has not been scientifically proven. It has been dismissed, in fact. Okay, so the point of Caribbean Heritage Month every year is to remember, celebrate, educate future generations about Caribbean Canadians and the important and inspirational role that they have played and continue to play in communities across Canada. The earliest Caribbean people came in the 1700s, the late 1700s. There's a fun fact for you. The biggest influx happened under Pierre Trudeau's government. I see everybody shaking their head because we all know, right? Yes, that was the big influx. But we were here even before that, the late 1700s. So this is an opportunity for us this month, every October, including this year, every October, now we're going virtual, is to learn about ourselves more in a way that you're not learning it in school, like what Nicole was saying, right? And also educating our fellow Canadians, our neighbors. Countering the narrative that's already out there. We have a voice. We don't have to sit quiet. If we're not being represented, we have to stand up and represent. This beautiful symbol here was designed by our board member, Oliver. Okay, so prior to October 2018, we didn't even have a symbol. We didn't have a month, we didn't have a symbol. So he took his time, we did the research, and he put together this lovely symbol for us. And then from there, we transferred it onto a flag, and we've been having flag raising ceremonies every year on the first day of October. Last year, we did it virtual. Prior to that, we were going to different city halls, and we used to do the flag raisings at different city halls. Level Up Meetup. Thank you, Oliver. Yeah, there's the flag behind Oliver. Yeah. So resolvers now would help us push this even more so this year. That's sort of what a resolver would do. And we start from August. We start ramping up the awareness about Caribbean Heritage Month from October, ramping it up on social media, talking about it when we meet up on calls, talking to your friends and family. We ramp up every August and cool back down end of October. So we need resolvers to help us push it. We also need resolvers to help us get it legislated. Right now, it has been introduced in the federal parliament and in the Ontario parliament, but it hasn't been passed yet. And there are many steps. If anybody knows about politics and government, it's a very slow moving, complicated process to get things passed. So we were successful. We got it introduced. We got it introduced in Ontario. We got it introduced in federal parliament, but we're not done. So again, the lobbying starts this year, August. We lobby the politicians. We're tagging them on social media and trying to pressure them to respond. Fun fact, United States already has a Caribbean Heritage Month. They've had it since, I think, 2009. They have a Black History Month and they have a Caribbean Heritage Month. You know how we're like considered the little brother to the United States. So this should be no different. You know, this should be easy to pass this. Okay, now some of the things we have going on in the organization itself. So we find ways for resolvers to stay connected. And we meet on a regular basis on Zoom because we're trying to get to belongingness, right? And friendship and learning about the Caribbean countries. That requires you to be present. It requires you to show up. That's another responsibility of a resolver, showing up and being present. And coming up with ideas to keep us engaged and connected. So this is our latest program that we're starting actually this week. It's a book read, a collective book read. Just simple, practical things that we can do and enjoy it, right? A movement doesn't have to be taxing. It doesn't have to be inconvenient, right? We're looking for ways to connect and enable. That's our mission statement, to connect and enable Caribbean Canadians. And this is one way, is book read. The book read is The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success by Deepak Chopra. It's a self-guided weekly reading online assignment and a participant-led video conference group discussion once a week. It's 100 pages. There's a free audio book on YouTube, or you can purchase the actual hard copy on Amazon or anywhere else. It's a very, very popular book. It's from 1994. It's a very old book. 100 pages, 7 chapters, once a week for 7 weeks, 1 chapter a week. And then on Sunday nights, we log in and we talk about the chapter. This is for members only. You have to be a member of the organization to be a part of this book read. So we're getting into now some of the programs we have going on at the organization. I'm going to start calling on my fellow board members very briefly, in let's say 60 seconds or less. You're describing the programs. And we're starting with Amanda, Social Meetups.
Okay. So Social Meetups is a dedicated commitment with 2 main objectives. So we want to generate conversation, and we also want to establish friendships and or connections within the Caribbean Canadian community. Basically, like Camille said, what we do with Social Meetups is we aim to bridge the gap between the innovative Caribbean minds and the rich knowledge that's kind of stuck in the minds of those that are in our community. So in order to have that knowledge come to light and have people hear it and are able to do something about it, that's what Social Meetups is here for. And like Camille said as well, through social stimulation and these meetups every Sunday, we're able to work together to improve the overall mental and emotional well-being within our community. So that's what Meetups is. We get together once a week and we talk about things that are present in our community. We have an agenda, and then we go into after hours, like Camille said, where where we get a little bit more personal and we really do get to know one another. So that's social meetups.
Well said. Thank you, Amanda. So that would be an expectation of a member is showing up on these calls on Sunday nights so that we get to know each other. Okay, I'm calling on Danielle.
Okay, so as we have entered into these unprecedented times, especially, one of the things that we do is the yoga and deep breathing, where we meet 3 days a week, Tuesdays and therapeutic Thursdays in the evening at 9 for a yoga and deep breathing session, as well as Sun Up Sundays at 10 a.m. A way for us to stay connected and to do a fun and healthy activity to keep us grounded and healthy while we're at home. And it is something that, again, as I say, we connect weekly to do this, and it's really helped to keep our moods up, increase our participation in healthy activities, as well as we learn different facts, fun facts about yoga and deep breathing, as well as the Caribbean. We share those fun facts and getting to know each other a bit better on these meetups.
Thank you, Danielle. So the whole of last year, there were some members who participated in this program, and it's what kept us sane during the pandemic. It was a coping tool that we use to get through the pandemic together last year. I'm a part of that program. Okay, Beverly?
So the Me First Boot Camp is for women who are members of Caribbean Women's Society and C5. So it is a participant-led, interactive, hands-on. It started off as a 30-day program. It's a 60-day program now to connect and enable Caribbean Canadian women on their unique journeys towards self-awareness. So it's once a week for an hour. We get together. Each participant leads a session in that 2-month period. It includes some deep breathing as a segment, and you can choose a video which we then have discussion around. It's a very safe space for any of the women who sign up for it. We're into our 3rd week, I believe, this week. No, maybe our 4th week. And it's really exciting. It's nice. And, you know, sometimes you have things that you are thinking, but it's great to hear somebody else say something that you're thinking about based on the discussion that we're having. And it's a great builder of sense that the women in this organization are family, friends, sisters, the whole thing. Like, it's a really great experience.
Thank you, Beverly. Yes, the point of this thing was, the point of this boot camp was to intentionally foster sisterhood, like what Beverly just mentioned, as well as self-esteem, because we recognize that women need to know how valuable they are. They need to know it. They need to believe it. So that's the 2 main reasons why we started the boot camp. And Lisa?
So the Caribbean Canadian Kids Club, which is known as CCKC, is a safe space for kids ages 4 to 14 to get together, make friends, learn new skills, such as character building skills and life skills, and to learn about their Caribbean culture and heritage. The Caribbean Canadian Kids Club meets every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Each week, there is something different planned for the kids. This year, we started a virtual tour around the Caribbean. So in January, we visited Haiti. February, we visited Grenada. And for the month of March, we are in St. Lucia. While visiting the islands, the kids learn history about each island. They learn fun facts. They learn to make a dish from that island. They play games, they hear stories, and they participate in Caribbean folklore. This Thursday, we have a fun yoga exercise activity planned for the kids. We're always looking for volunteers to help facilitate activities for the kids. So if you're looking for a fun educational program for your kids, please join us on Tuesday nights at 7:30 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Last week, Tuesday, the kids and their parents made cassava pone. That was my first time making pone. I've always been afraid to make it, but I made the St. Lucian version of cassava pone. Very tasty. I think this is what Nicole's talking about, right? Is that the kids don't know when you ask them to write, they don't know. So thank you, Lisa. Chelsea.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. So I'm going to be talking about the feeder program. The feeder program is tailored for Caribbean Canadian post-secondary students who are looking to continue their philanthropy and cultural connections outside of their Caribbean student groups. The ultimate goal of this program is to connect student leaders to the larger Caribbean community by connecting them to other Caribbean Canadian student leaders, providing them with mentorship opportunities, and engaging them in planning and developing activities that strengthen their Caribbean Canadian identity and preserve Caribbean culture. There are currently 5 university Caribbean student groups that are participating in this program, including York University's Guyanese Student Council and the University of Waterloo's Association of Caribbean Students. This is the first year that we've been running this program, and we're hoping to further grow the number of campus groups and student leaders that are participating in the upcoming academic year. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Chelsea. Oliver?
Sure. So like I said before, I'm a board member of Caribbean Canadian Chamber of Commerce and Community, which is C5. And our C5, we have a spotlight, we call it C5 Spotlight, where C5 members are given around 5 to 10 minutes to present their product, service, idea, or just anything that they're passionate about to our live audience here. And the presentation that promotes memberships and products or your service or anything that you're passionate about. And you get to put that presentation on our platform for no cost, which is, I think, is really, really cool. So that we have at C5. Another thing we have at C5 is C5 Exchange. Is a weekly participated-led social meetup and discussion between the C5 boards and the college and university Caribbeans club. So all these, college and university, they have this cultural club, and we meet up with their executive to connect, enable, engage, and just engage in a really powerful presentation, discussion kind of idea. And yeah, it's really, really fun. So that's what we are going on at C5 and C5 Spotlight and C5 Exchange program.
Thank you, Oliver. One more, if you're comfortable, Oliver, sharing about the awards that we have for young professionals.
Sure. So I might need help on this too, but our C5, our CC Young Professional Awards are just members in the community. Help me out with the age, Camille.
It's under 30 years and younger.
Yes, 30 years and younger, who are doing amazing things in the community. And we get to vote and we give them an award based on the things that they're doing in the community. And we have a whole presentation. I remember, I think I'm gonna miss this in person because we used to have this in person, and it's a huge celebration. And just the look and the feeling of these young people's mind and who they are when they receive these awards is just amazing. So that's what we have going on too on CC Young Professional Awards.
Thank you. Yeah, it's important to recognize the young leaders coming up behind us, the young resolvers coming up behind us. Mark?
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about this new launch. So we are about to launch an e-commerce bootcamp. This is for C5 members. So that's the Caribbean Canadian Chamber of Commerce and Community. Starts on April the 10th. It's a 9-month participant-led program. So what does that really mean? We're putting together a program for e-commerce. So if you have goods that you want to sell, or print on demand items like, you know, t-shirts, mugs, anything that you may want to put your label, your company's brand on. We are actually putting together a workshop where we are going to launch a portal, an e-commerce portal, and we are going to start selling products through our portal on behalf of some of our C5 members. So just the boot camp starts on April 10th, like I think I said. And basically what we're doing is we are going to be working together on building out what that portal is going to look like. And it gives everybody that opportunity to learn, everyone who's in the program, to learn about Shopify and how to build out a Shopify account and get that started. It's a great way to establish, you know, network contacts and friendships. And then what we also want to do is we're building out a leadership. It's basically also a leadership program where, you know, all of the course material and all of the material to actually launch this the portal is available and will be distributed to the group. And what we're going to do is during each session, one of the members will actually lead that week and walk everybody through how to do that particular section. So really exciting stuff. I'm happy to be a part of this one.
Thank you, Mark. Well, I think Oliver covered this. This was the spotlight, C5 spotlight. Okay. So those are some of the programs we have going on. Thank you to the resolvers who just gave us those summaries of all the programs. All those programs are being planned, created, planned, and delivered by volunteers. We don't have staff. We don't have employees at these three organizations. It's run by the resolvers. This is what I mean when you have to say work, when I said working unity, putting your words into action. If you're signing up to be a member, it means you're also signing up to volunteer. So all those people that just spoke, they're volunteering their time in all of these different programs. And they work with committees. They pull other members and form little mini committees, and they plan as they go. And things change. Programs are added or taken away based on the needs of the members at the time. It's not fixed or etched in stone. It's what we listen to, we respond to the members, what they're interested in. So you would have heard the three different organizations, right, being called out all evening. These are the acronyms, right? So the first one, CWS, that's the acronym for Caribbean Women's Society. CCPU, that's the acronym for the parents group. And then C5 is the last one, the green one, because it has 5 C's in its name. Caribbean Canadian Chamber of Commerce and Community, C5. And you'll see the years that they were all established. The women's group is the oldest one, 2015. Then the other two were formed in 2017. And here are the membership fees. It's $40 a year if you're joining the women's group. If you're 60 plus, it's free. It's called a gold membership. The parents group in the middle is $30 a year, and that includes everybody in your family. That's if you have a spouse, they're included, and all of your children are included on the one fee, $30 a year. And then for C5 now it's tiered. If you don't have a business that you want to promote, it's just $50 a year. If you have a business or a not-for-profit that you want to promote, then it's $100, and it goes up depending on how much staff you have. If you have no staff and it's just you self-employed, it's $100. But if you're gold, meaning if you're 60 or older, it's free. Because we're looking, the gold membership is new. We started that in December of last year because we recognize that there's a gap in our community. We're not drawing from our elders as often as we should be. We don't have to start from scratch. They've already been there, done that. Why are we starting from scratch? Why not get the wisdom, the advice, the mentorship from those who came before us, those who were here before us? So that's why we're really looking to get more 60 plus to join us in this movement. They have a role to play. We all have a role to play. Any questions about membership? So the application is on the website. It's ourchm.ca. And if you want to read more about the organization, they all have their own tabs. So they all share the same website, but they have their own tab because they're partner organizations. They work as partners all year round. They have the same vision statement, which is a thriving Caribbean Canadian community. They target the same demographic, which is the Caribbean Canadian community. So they're like a coalition, these three organizations. So they share the one website. And then there's a tab called Apply, and that will take you to the application. And you can pay through PayPal on the website. So we're coming up, we're drawing near to the end. So just to sum up here, what we're really about is purpose. This movement has purpose. If you're looking for purpose, you're in the right place. If you're looking for meaning, you're in the right place. And I just put this little quote here. And can I have a volunteer to read the quote on the top left?
I can.
Thank you, Beverly.
Life is never made unbearable by circumstances, but only by lack of meaning and purpose.
Thank you. And then there's a little graphic here in the bottom left showing how it's all connected, right? Once you have something significant to you and a reason for doing it, you have an impact. If it's important to you, then you have a reason for doing it. If it's not important to you, then you're not going to do it. If this movement is not important to you, you're not going to participate. It has to be important to you, something that you believe in. Once you believe in it, you have a reason for doing it. Now you're going to actually have an impact because it will come across authentic. You'll be enthusiastic, you'll be passionate, and it will come across authentic and people will trust what it is you're trying to get them to do. Can I have a volunteer to read this quote by this brilliant mind here? On the right side, there's this quote by this brilliant person.
Between us.
Oh, go ahead, Ingrid. Oh.
Between us, we have all the answers. Camille Kerr.
That would be moi. Yes, thank you. I truly believe that. We have all the answers. We don't need outside forces. We don't have to take what people are dishing. We just have to come together and talk. That's step number one. And then once everybody starts talking, you realize, oh my God, I didn't know this, I didn't know that, right? It's because now we're talking. You don't have to figure it out by yourself. I hear that a lot. When people come here from the Caribbean and they come here to Canada, it's like they're starting from scratch because there's no community here to help them get their social insurance number, get their this, their that, their all of that, right? Naila is shaking her head, right? You don't have to start from scratch. We have to come together to organize. People need to know where to find us. And that's where the resolvers come into play. You have to go out into your own circles and let people know about what's happening. Right? And bring in more people here so that they know that there's a place here for them. And that concludes the discussion on the Caribbean Canadian identity movement. Before I take the last poll, do we have any questions or comments? Anyone can, yes, go ahead, Danielle.
Just to say that, we've been doing this for some time now, and each milestone we just get better and better. We learn more, we get more ideas and more added to the movement. And it's really an honor to be a part of something like this, something that I've been searching for a long time. And I'm really happy to even see some new faces on here tonight. It's really great. hopefully we see more and more join membership and join our programs, and just continue to further this journey for ourselves here now and for others to come.